Dr. Bach comes with almost close to 3 decades of experience in customer centricity as well as customer experience. After having trained some of the finest companies in the world and also having consulted for finest companies in the world, including companies like Procter & Gamble, BMW, Audi. I think that some of the finest international airports in India also have been consulted by him. And along with him, we also have Mr. Saifuddin. He also has got about 25 years of experience. And along with these two people from SQC Singapore, we also have 3 people on the dais. One is President Mr. Subir Ghosh. He has been the CEO of the mobile store and the Planet M, and also he has set up the BPL phone business. And he comes with close to about 30 years of experience, and we welcome him as well to this evening. And along with him we have Mr. Muthu Elaphan, who is a Senior Vice President, Shakti Sugars, and also happens to be the Chairman of NIBM Coimbatore. And again, he comes with a huge experience of having led lots of teams as well as lots of people. And my interaction with him is in very few times, but all this while I have found him to be a wonderful human being. I'd like to welcome him on behalf of the Academy as well as SQC Singapore. And along with him, we have another great gentleman by the name of Mr. Ayyappan, who is a consultant and also executive for NIPM. Also, he brings with him lots of experience. And I think between them and between all of you, I think you must have had a great experience of internal customer centricity. But what Bach is going to spend time with you is how do you translate that into profitability for your own organizations? Now let me welcome Dr. Bach.
Okay, my name is Bach. Together with me, my colleagues, the handsome man from Singapore there. Yeah, the Saifuddin. This 3rd year we combined in Coimbatore. I think he has been a wonderful experience working with the Subio and the gang here. We do quite a fair bit of training for the last 3 years. This is the 3rd round, and it has been extremely wonderful experience working with the AGs and all the teams here. Good, welcome to the quick session here, and really wonderful to have your present. I'm going to share with you some of those areas of work that we have gone through over the last 20 plus years or so. Those things that we do with our client organization in terms of how do we use a service as a way to compete with other organizations. Service is no longer a frontline interface, a smile, helpful, friendly alone. While those things are still important, but to be able to sustain the whole service culture from within, the question is how do we design the whole service experience as a starting point before we sort of cascade down, become a people, equip our people, become a system in a very structured, in a very tried and tested method instead of trial and error. Allow me to walk through some background on our origin 20 plus years ago. We all know Singapore. We all know Singapore is such a small red dot country. It's just a small little tiny red dot. And we always say, you open up a map, you can't quite find where is Singapore. Or we know it's somewhere in Southeast Asia. If we look back on Singapore last so many years, you notice that Singapore have changed quite a fair bit over the years. This is what Singapore all about way back in 1967. And in terms of GDPs and in terms of the whole development, this is where we started the whole economy. It's really a very small little village per se, and because of the transshipments and all those things, 1967 the US 626 GDP per capita. Some couple of months ago, there was one publication looking at the whole transformation, not just Singapore, but compare many other countries in the world. And in 2012, this is where we are. I try to get this mouse work, and let me see what I can do. Give me a second. In 2012, this is where we are. Looking at how the whole transform. Welcome. Okay. Based on this survey, based on this projection, putting Singapore as the #1 in the world for GDP per capita, and they do a projection all the way down the next 20, 30 years. They are looking at Singapore, Hong Kong, these are the few is going to be the top from a GDP per capita point of view. If you look back, way back to 1967, I think it's only what, 40, 50 years ago, you notice that the whole changes is really amazing. But what I'm making a point here is, there's one keyword to help Singapore. Singapore, there's no chance to survive if we don't find way to compete with others. Started a long time ago. And there's one keyword really helps Singapore, is a word called quality. We do have resources, whatever we use, whatever we consume within the country, almost all the things are all imported, including the water that we drink every day, it's all imported in a sense. With a small little tiny dot of country with no resources, and we transformed one way or the other, and over the years, and changed the whole. Government went through quite a fair bit of thinking in 70, 80, and we are fortunate enough to improve in productivity, the hard quality. And at one stage, we were called one of 4 tiger, 4 dragon, or whatever we call it, together with people like Taiwan, Hong Kong, and South Korea. But come to 1980, mid-80, the trend that we are looking at as a small little country is, if we don't improve in service fast enough, Singapore have no place in this world. Because we do have resources, and while we can continue to improve in productivity, the high quality, other countries are moving fairly fast as well. So that's where prompted our then Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Goh. He was the one who mooted a simple idea at that time, say, hey, we should do something about this to help the local organization to improve service in a very structured manner, to improve service in such a way that we are able to use service to compete with others. The task was given by us, to us, and we were working on all these areas, service quality, service innovation for the last 20 over years. These were the 2 founding partners that we had when we first started the area of work for the first 21 years. Singapore Airlines owned 50%. On the right hand side, Spring Singapore, this is a government agency looking at national level productivity, standards and innovation, and those areas work at the policy level. So these 2 came together way back in 1990, formed the company that I'm talking about called SQ Center, Service Quality Center. And when we were officially opened by Mr. Lee, at that time he was Deputy PM, we were positioned as a national initiative at the country level. How do we help the local organization to improve service in a very, very structured manner? I must say, last 20 over years, we are very fortunate to be able to partner many big players across many industries by now, going to different countries 20 over by now. But these are the industry that we work the most for the last 20 over years. And along with these, I think from aviation to airline to transportation, hotel, of course, all the way to the typical retail, the F&B, leisure, medical, and automotive, we happen to have done quite a fair bit over the years, started from Singapore, which I'll share some of those examples for your quick reference. And of course, at the same time, we were so excited when we were involved in the Beijing Olympics. 4 years before Beijing Olympic 2004, we started working with the government in China, looking at how do we change the whole service, thinking, mindset, culture, and so on and so forth, in the Qingdao city, who hosted the whole water sport for Olympics program. And if you happen to like the soccer game, we spent 18 months in South Africa 2010, championed by Deputy President's Office in the country, looking at how do we design the whole customer experience DNA for South Africa when they hosted the 2010 FIFA soccer game. Similarly, Shanghai Expo 2010, it was such a big event. We did quite a fair bit of work, the one that representing Shanghai City, the whole corporate pavilion, and the whole thing, while you look at it, across the different industry by something quite common in nature. while the different needs and expectation requirement by the customer of the respective industry may be quite different. But fundamentally, we are looking at something in common. There is something with somebody we call a customer, and the customer happen to be common to you and me is a human being. There's something very common, the certain expectation, behavior, and so on and so forth. That's where we work with, from the basis of this, we work with many organizations, and I'm going to end the first part of a quick intro, last few slides. When we work with Porsche way back in the beginning of 2000, actually both parties didn't know what to do initially, because I think Porsche, they have wonderful car that people love to have, from design to qualities and so on and so forth. But we were invited by Porsche to go into the picture on how do we then provide the whole service component for their people, from a sales consultant to service consultant, so on and so forth. But something that we did together with them in a very unique manner is our consultant, our trainer must be trained by Porsche in a HQ on the car itself. We must know the car, about the whole engine, about the whole designs and so on and so forth, before we are allowed to train them on the service quality. Started in Singapore, slowly expand to the whole Asia Pacific, including China and so on and so forth, looking at the whole, all the sales consultants, service consultants, all these people. And we did quite a fair bit of work for BM. BM in China, they are in the way a latecomer in China market as compared to people like Audi. Officially, they actually go into a very active mode in China that was sometimes mid 2000. But Audi had been there for more than 15-20 years before them. When we came into the picture, we were working with BMW China, the management, for one simple thing. While you have nice, wonderful car that people love to have, how do you compete with others? Well, who do they compete with? Audi, Mercedes, and Lexus. Only these three brands that they are interested. The rest, different ball games. They are not comparing them with any other brand. There are only three brands they are interested. The question is, you're a latecomer, well, you have wonderful design, and how do you then actually differentiate yourself compared to others? The question is, do they differentiate themselves from a car, from a product point of view? If they zoom into product alone, I still remember when I was working with them, these 8 are the first batch of so-called participants I worked together. It's a very senior level. They are not the general manager, but they are the board director for a China company. 7 of them, 8 together, 7 of them are all expatriate from BMW somewhere worldwide, somewhere they will actually assign the cars in China. Only one of them, this gentleman representing Chinese interest. So 8 of them together with me, and we were going to the mode whereby how then do we design the whole customer experience for BMW in China? The first question I threw to them, I still remember, I was asking a very, very simple question, and the whole 8 of them are looking at me. I asked them, so what do you sell to your customer? I asked them that naive question. I asked them, what do you sell to your customer? Of course they are selling car. The question is, if you continue to sell car alone, we miss the boat. Because at the end of the day, all the different makes of a vehicle, the design, the difference is very little. We all know. Customer don't quite differentiate anymore. More so when you go into high tech, customer can't quite appreciate all the things, though they love to have when they buy it. Just like when we buy a mobile phone with all the function, but with all the powerful function, we only use some of them. So when I was working with them, the first step is how do we design the whole BMW experience in China before we roll it out to all the distributors and so on and so forth. And it was a wonderful work together with them. Of course, I work with them a lot as well, Audi. I work with them a lot for many years, doing a lot of training for them in China. Part of the design was from the HQ in Germany, but we actually localized it and trained all the distributors, including the investor for the distributor, who many of them are millionaires anyway. We actually packed them through in all the batches to the point whereby distributors are fighting to go into the training program, because because they know that if they don't send their people for Audi ways of training, they will be out from the picture very soon. So we were doing some of this area of work over the last so many years, and we were saying that how can we then be able to work with organization in a structured manner. From the thinking that we had, we said we want to create a wonderful, powerful service branding that compete with others. At the day-to-day level, we are still selling a piece of car. While we have different make, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, how do we differentiate ourselves with others in a very structured manner, in a more consistent manner, in a more sustainable manner? So that's where allow me to walk through some of the key pillars in any organization. How do we then be able to build the whole thing from the whole thinking as an intent to build the whole organization, become a service-driven organization, customer-centric organization, to the point where we are saying that we are able to go into the actual implementation. Service experience is not something that we talk about it alone, because all these area of things, these topics, we can continue to talk. The moment that we stop doing implementation and all those things, all these things remain as just another textbook exercise. So I'm going to go through some of the key pillars that we may need to consider in our organization. The end outcome, I guess, is very simple. Why do we want to provide good service? I guess the end outcome is very simple. I think we all have a common idea, common result, common end outcome we have in mind. When we work with many of the big players across the different industry, there's only one outcome. For the private sector, there's only one keyword: make more money. That's it, nothing more than that. For the government sector, it's a different ball games. How do we work with government to reduce the whole complaint ratios and all kind of those things? But for private sector, that's where we need to say, how do we build the organization start from the very fundamentals that start from the whole service strategy. I'm going to start from a topic like this, go to the whole service system, and end with the whole service, the people management. And at the tail end of my presentation sharing, I will share with you the typical journey that the organization will walk through in a very structured manner. And pardon me, I will continue to drink my water when I talk to you because my throat is really extremely dry because of medication. So pardon me for that. Okay, in any country, when you go into the car market, I think you see a lot of a typical pattern of the so-called marketing. In Singapore, last few months, you see a lot of hot discussion on the whole vehicle thing. Beside the price of the cars in Singapore is so high per se, but competition is so keen. People try to sell their car by reducing price, give a lot of whatever thing, the discounts and whatever you can think of. When you go into the car market, many a time we see a lot, the pricing competition is always there. The question is, let's look at it from a consumer level. Let's look at it from a customer level. I walk into the car showroom, having in mind try to find a car suitable for my small family. In the late afternoon of a Saturday, I walk in the showroom alone without my family, and I wear pretty simple on that particular day, with a Bermuda and with a simple shoes and very simple, nothing, with a simple t-shirt. I walk into the showroom, and all the service consultants are all stay at the counter at the far distance. I walk towards to the car, all the display. Nobody come to me. I wave at them. All of them look at each other before one of them come and approach me. So that's where I start asking questions. I try to decide which car is more suitable for me. Within moments, the sales person will start talking about all the technical terms that I don't understand. You will tell me how many cylinders, what is the horsepower, and all kind of big words. As a layman, all of a sudden I say, how should I ask more questions to really understand what is the car that needed by me? And the whole buying process supposed to be a happy moment, end up I quietly just retreat away, go to next door. So in the typical car industry, I think there are only few steps of things that service interface are important. Showroom, buying a car is one key chunk. Deliver the car to the customer is the next phase. But I guess the most painful one, I think we all share the common idea by now, is the servicing process that is going to determine whether am I going to buy the next car from you or otherwise. That's where when we work with many of all these organizations, we say, instead of going into the organization and try to build the service culture in a piecemeal manner, is there a way that we can think of a way that do something in a more structured manner? Look at the whole service in a broader sense before we chunk it down and equip our people, come up with our system and so on and so forth. I think there are many surveys on this. There are many reasons why our customer leave us. Car industry is no exception from here. Customers are not happy for certain things. For example, product quality is common. There is no perfect car company in the world. But product quality is always a challenge, not just in car industry, in any industry that we can think of. But most of the time you notice that customers leave us because of the soft aspect. While the whole transaction is about the car. But the one that push me away is on all the people component issue. We can advertise, we can spend hell of money to attract our customer to our doorstep. In many industry, the more retail related industry, we always calculate the footfall, the percentage, how many people come to us and all those things. We advertise, we want to see how many the new customer, potential customer come to us. But you can attract the customer to your doorstep. You can't force them to buy, unfortunately. They will walk away, not unless by the time they come to you, the people component issue, the system component issue are all in a very smooth, efficient manner. So with all this backdrop, I'm going to ask some, go into the fundamental, and I'm going to ask some questions together, and let's see how can we chart out the whole journey together. I would like you to recall the first time you buy a mobile phone. How long ago, roughly? 10 years ago, maybe? 10 plus years ago, maybe? Which was the first mobile phone brand? Which brand of the mobile phone did you buy for your very first mobile phone? Nokia. You belong to third generation. Who else? Who else? BPL, local brand. I know that they are pretty big in size. I know that. Any other brand that you happen to buy for your very first mobile phone? Ericsson. Okay. You are in a way the first generation. Motorola, second generation. Okay, why do I go through years? Except those big bottle mobile phone, we do consider them as mobile phone. This is the one that dominated the marketplace when the mobile phone was first become such a common product to the common people like us. Ericsson 337. I bought my first mobile phone, this brand. I spent 1,004 Sing dollars. By the moment I decided to buy this mobile phone, the salesperson came to me and said, "Sir, you make the right choice. This is the thinnest, lightest mobile phone you can find right now." I was excited. Paid the 1,004 Sing dollars, take over the mobile phone, play with it for the next half an hour, tired with it. After a while, I put my mobile phone into my pocket. I feel that my pocket was slanting. Though was supposed to be thinnest, lightest mobile phone, but sorry, it's still pretty heavy at that time. I think about 15 years ago. Who came in the picture next? This guy. If you happen to buy this, you belong to second generation. Motorola came in the picture, kicked out this guy, Ericsson. Where is Ericsson right now? They joined forces with Sony, and there are at least 8 or 9 or even 10 by now. Somewhere, at least for the time being, they are not the top 5, 100%. So Motorola came in the picture again, dominated the marketplace for a few years. Who came in the picture to kick out Motorola? Who was the one? Came into the picture, basically face Motorola or window. Nokia, yes, you're right. This guy came in the picture. They designed the whole mobile phone whereby you can change the cover, different color, and the morning one color, the evening one color. People love them. I mean, those are the days where we say customize the product for mobile phone. People love them. Of course, the last few years we know who are the people come in the picture. last few years. iPhone changed the whole industry a lot. Of course, I think while iPhone was in the picture, other people are also increasing very fast. Samsung is very strong.